In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, be advised that a notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board in Town Hall and forwarded to the official designated newspapers, that this meeting would take place at Town Hall at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, February 4th. Please stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Burstein?
Here.
Ms. Prupus?
Here.
Ms. Dahl-Eglo?
Yes, here.
Mr. Wasserman?
Here.
And Mayor Lieberberg.
Yes, here. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? At this time, I'd like to call upon Police Chief Gilfetter for the promotion of the police officers.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank the Township Committee and the Mayor for allowing us to make promotions tonight. At this time, I'm going to present the officers for Lieutenant. The first officer is Adam Norris. He graduated from Pace University in 1997 with a degree in criminal justice. He was hired by the Millburn Police Department in 2001. He graduated from the Morris County Police Academy, where then he served in the Patrol Division. He was promoted to Sergeant in November of 2014, where he became a supervisor in the Patrol Division. And he's currently the commander of our Emergency Service Unit. He's a member of our crash team, a member of the Internal Affairs team. He's a range instructor. And at this time, he'll be assigned to shift commander in the Patrol Division. He's accompanied tonight by his wife, Janine, their children, Abigail, Mary Catherine, and Stephen, as well as other extended family. Next up for Lieutenant is also Michael Fatal. He graduated from the Passaic County Community College with a degree in criminal justice. He graduated from Passaic County Police Academy. He worked in the Passaic County Sheriff's Department from November of 2003 to March of 2008. He was hired by the Millburn Police Department in March of 2008. He was assigned to the Patrol Division. He was promoted Sergeant in November 2014, where he became the supervisor of Patrol Division. And in 2015, he was transferred to the Traffic Bureau. He's also a member of the Crash Investigation Team. He's a supervisor of our Honor Guard, and he'll be assigned our Detective Lieutenant in the Detective Bureau. Mike is joined by his wife Patty, daughter Joanna, son Jaden, and other family and close friends. The next officers are for Captain. We have Edward Blazinski. He was hired in January 1995. He graduated from the Essex County Police Academy, and then he served in the Patrol Division. He was promoted to Sergeant in August of 2007, where he served as a supervisor in the Patrol Division. He was promoted to Lieutenant in February 2012, becoming the shift commander in the Patrol Division. He's a former member of our Emergency Service Unit. He's a member of our Crash Investigation Team, current CPR instructor. He's an accreditation manager, and he'll be assigned as captain of our Patrol Division. Ed is accompanied by his wife Laura, brother Greg, kids Lexi, Martin, Diane, mother-in-law Maria, family and friends. And next up is David Bonney. He was hired in January 1995, graduated from the Essex County Police Academy when he served in the Patrol Division. In January 2004, he was assigned to the Traffic Bureau. In October 2008, he was promoted to Sergeant and then made supervisor of the Traffic Division. In September 2010, he completed his master's degree in Administration Science at Fairleigh Dickinson University and a graduate certificate in Computer Security and Forensic Administration. In April 2015, he was promoted to Lieutenant and the supervisor of the Detective Bureau. He's a member of the Crash Investigation Team. He's a nationally accredited traffic accident reconstructionist. Manages the police department's computer software, networking, and township security cameras. He's a range master. Dave will be assigned as an administrative captain. Dave is accompanied by his wife Nicole, mother, father, in-laws, and family and friends.
May I have a motion to approve Resolution 20-050 to confirm the promotions of the police officers?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Burstein?
Yes.
Ms. Prupus?
Yes.
Ms. Dahl-Eglo?
Yes.
Mr. Wasserman?
Yes.
And Mayor Lieberberg.
Yes. Mr. Homsey, will you please issue the oaths of office?
Can we have you guys kind of spread out in a semicircular, yeah.
Stealing the show.
Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Adam Norris,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of police lieutenant
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police lieutenant
of the Township Police Department, of the Millburn Township Police Department,
of the Millburn Township Police Department
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It's fine.
Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Michael Fatale,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of police lieutenant
I will faithfully discharge the duties of police lieutenant
of the Millburn Township Police Department
of the Millburn Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Edward Blazinski,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of police captain
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police captain
of the Millburn Township Police Department
of the Millburn Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank everybody.
Oh, I know I have to
Don't
sign.
forget to sign. Congratulations.
Very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Raise your hand, repeat after me. I state your name. I, David Bond, do solemnly swear. I'll support the Constitution of the United States. I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. And I will faithfully discharge the duties of police captain. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police captain of the Millburn Township Police Department. Of the Millburn Township Police Department. According to the best of my ability. According to the best of my ability. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to take a short 5-minute recess, so those celebrating can continue with their celebrations. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it'll cool down now.
That was nice.
It's a month old.
A month, is it a month?
Oh. How cute is that child?
That was great.
Thank you guys. Thank
great.
you.
Congratulations.
What do you mean it takes us five?
It hasn't started yet.
Well, no, it's
Well, it's not, I guess, yeah, it's not
I mean,
until
well,
June 12th.
it's effective June 12th.
It's effective June 12th. They have like a 6-month grace period.
Good. You were here.
You get used to
Thank you for coming.
Once a mayor, always a mayor. I'm great. How are you? Are you having fun?
Just keep these mics around.
Yes, but they're out there.
There's some additional forms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever the disability, the movers out there. So, thank you very much.
Hi, how you guys? Good to see you. See you again.
How are you? I know.
They own a my daughter.
I had one child who had a full head of hair.
So it's a 60% growth.
They both have a lot of hair. My whole child child tells me she's baby's awake, so I'll get a picture now.
Hair like I have. Thick hair, yeah.
Well deserved. So it's really funny, when I go to a restaurant now, like, I never ask for a straw, but when they give you a straw,
Our meeting will continue.
And it's still yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there was a newborn
May I have-
baby. Congratulations.
1 month.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. May I have a motion to approve the January 7th, 2020 Township Committee Reorganization Meeting Minutes?
so moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any opposed? No, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, reports. The PACS Committee met on January 27th, and we discussed the 5 items that were previously recommended, and the committee has discussed their prioritization of these items to focus on the following 2 things initially: the Dunkin' Donuts crosswalk and a potential additional parking lot on Essex Street. The flex parking, reduction of the bump outs, and restoration of the right turn lane will await the review of our new engineer. Deputy Mayor Prupus will speak about the Burnship meeting and the intake sheets that were distributed on January 29th. These findings will be discussed once the data has been reviewed and compiled. Sunday, March 15th. Mark your calendars, everyone. The CETA Committee will be hosting a Founding Day celebration. Millburn was founded on March 20th, and on March 15th, we'll use this time to celebrate all things Millburn. We'll have refreshments, there'll be pizza, drinks, desserts, craft projects for our youngest residents, a Millburn trivia contest, there'll be games, there'll be some local musicians of our own that will be playing. If anyone is interested in volunteering and helping with the day's festivities, I invite you to cetainfo@millburntwp.org. The event will take place at Bauer Center, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., rain or shine. It will be indoors. I will be attending the Mayor's Council Rawway River Watershed Flood Control, hosted by the freeholder Betty Jane Kowalski. Tomorrow evening, I will be joined with Alex McDonald, our business administrator, and Sarah Sherman, president of the South Mountain Civic Association. That meeting will be held tomorrow evening in Cranford, and after attendance, I will report back to you an update. I want to thank Deputy Mayor Tara Prupus for inviting Leonard Luciano to present later this evening. We'll hear more from him a little bit later. A couple other things. The internship program. Pleased to announce that we will be accepting resumes for Town Hall internship program that will run beginning in March, April, through the summer, and potentially into the fall of 2020. Interested students are invited to send their resumes. The complete job description is on the Town Hall website under our community job posting. Jimmy Humsey will be managing this initiative for the township, and interested students should send their resumes to administrator@millburntwp.org. We anticipate a minimum hours of 5 to 8 per week initially, and that will increase during the summer months. The students will be paid $11 per hour, and the opportunity is open to current Millburn High School sophomores and juniors. I'm pleased to say we had tremendous success with our intern last year, award-winning for our recycling video, and it's a great opportunity for students to get to know the inner workings of municipal government. Medical marijuana. All of the TC members met last year with representatives from a company that is interested in coming to Millburn to establish a medical marijuana dispensary. At this juncture, the TC will will need to establish a formal procedure if there is support to move forward with this kind of facility. I'm going to defer to Brad, our legal counsel, Brad Carney, who's here with us this evening, who can shed some more light on that subject.
Yes, so under the regulations, qualified alternative treatment centers that desire to establish a satellite location, such as in the township of Millburn, but still comply with all the normal ATC, alternative treatment center application requirements under state law, which includes what I'll call basically an endorsement of local government, or rather local government approvals. And those regulations require an applicant to obtain written verification of the approval of the community or the governing body of the township in which the alternative treatment center is or will be located, which includes evidence of complying with local codes and ordinances, including but not limited to the regulated distance between the proposed facility and the closest school, church, temple, or other places that are used for religious worship, playgrounds, parks, child daycare facilities, and so on. So at the recent 2020 planning conference, it was pointed out that the regulations don't contain the requirements for a procedure to be put in place, but it is our recommendation as the township attorney that to basically avoid an unintended approval or perhaps an approval that is later challenged, that the township committee should establish internal procedures on how they would like to handle such applications. This one this one actually hasn't submitted, my understanding that they have not yet submitted paperwork, but in going forward. So I think the next step would actually be for the township committee to come up with a procedure as to how they would move forward with this and any future satellite location requests.
Thank you. Cheryl, committee reports. Please.
So the Board of Trustees of the Millburn Library met on January 27th. On March 31st will be Spring Museum Night. There will be a lecture from MoMA to discuss the expansion of the museum and the reinstallation of the galleries. The Friends are accepting the book sale is April 25th and 26th, with preview night April 23rd, Thursday night, for members of the Friends of the Millburn Library. And if you're not a friend by then, you can always join. They are accepting donations for the book sale starting March 31st.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Deputy Mayor Tara Kupis.
Okay, I have a few reports. On January 8th, the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board met, and the town applied for a walkability study to be conducted around the Crescent Station Plaza and Hobart Avenue. Alex, has anything?
We've never received it.
So we're awaiting a response on that. We are still awaiting a response from the county on the removal of the westernmost crosswalk between Holmes and Essex. Is that still correct, that we're awaiting the response on that?
Yeah, they are actually waiting for spring. They have responded to us and that they would be looking to address that come warmer weather.
Okay, perfect. The committee is looking, or the advisory board is looking at the middle school drop-off, and bids are being prepared to privatize the crossing guards in town. Back to school night for the middle school is now going to be on a different night than the paper mill. So the paper mill is going to be dark on back to school night, which is a really big deal for the middle school and all the parents who are going to be able to find parking now when it's, and that basically came about just from some conversations, so people are really happy about that. And calming measures are looking to be implemented in the Wyoming school area. So that's the work of the Pedestrian Advisory Board, and the next meeting, right now that's scheduled to meet quarterly, and the next meeting is the first Wednesday in April, which is April 1st. at 8 a.m. in Town Hall. The BOE and Township liaisons, we met yesterday morning for our first meeting of the year. And we discussed a number of things. We discussed the possibility of adding a school resource officer to our school system, and our business administrator and superintendent will be discussing that further. We talked about the internship program, which is great. We talked about the CETA community event. We talked about that we're trying to keep the communication lines really open between the schools and the town, with all the potential development that's happening and how it's going to impact the schools. So we talked a lot about figuring out ways to keep those lines really open, and we're going to be meeting monthly, so that's a good start. And just also inform them about tomorrow night is at the planning board that the planning board is discussing a proposed amendment to the land use plan element of the township master plan, so that's all going to be happening tomorrow night in this room. And so that's the Board of Ed. The Environmental Commission. So the Environmental Commission is looking for ways in which Millburn Township buildings, schools, and other government buildings can reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve energy efficiency. They are also exploring the possibility of drafting a resolution that would outline their concerns associated with the proposed zoo amphitheater project. Their next meeting is on Tuesday, February 11th, 7:30 p.m. in the Town Hall Conference Room. The Green Team is planning a green fair in Taylor Park on April 14th. And then so we passed the ordinance about the ban of the single-use plastic reduction in town, and there's a meeting for the business community Tuesday, February 18th, 7:30 in Town Hall for any questions about the requirements about the plastic bags and the straws and the takeout containers. So that's happening Tuesday, February 18th for all the business owners. All the business owners, thank you, all the business owners in the room. Okay, last week on the Wednesday, the 29th, we held a merchant meeting in this room to talk about the PAC's recommendations. We handed out a survey, and there's some surveys available on the table if any merchants have not yet had not filled it out, but Town Hall sent an email to an extensive list. I circulated about 100 walking into shops in the downtown footprint, about 100 flyers. We had a really good turnout for the meeting. We did a prioritization as they did in the PAC's committee meeting, so those have not, yesterday, we asked them all to be returned yesterday, so those have not been tallied. We don't have any information yet to share on that, but that will come soon. And on Thursday morning at the Book House, there was a meeting for the merchants, the Millburn Merchant Organization, so I attended that. And Committeeman Wasserman was with me on Wednesday morning here. So at the Book House, we also discussed the package of recommendations, and we also talked about the potential of the merchants organizing. I then got some feedback back from that group that MMO is not looking to organize, not in terms of they want to do events and kind of stay their own thing. They don't want to have a spokesperson or any formal type of structure, it seems. They do not want a leader. They're just a group of people coming together trying to help their businesses. I think that's it for now. Busy, yes.
Committeewoman Edwell?
Thank you. I just want to piggyback on what Brett said, because I was also at that meeting in New Brunswick on the medical marijuana. And it was, just to give a little more information and clarity to the public, it was 6 months ago when we were approached by GTI, Green Thumb Industries, and she was one of the ladies at the panel. Her name is Devra. And they are a premier multi-state level 1-3 operator, meaning they've never had a violation in the 12 states they're operating in. They currently have a cultivation and medical-only dispensary in Patterson, and this license allows them to open one additional satellite. They are currently leasing the former liquor store on Morris Avenue across from Bed and Bath. How this works is the township would receive a 10% tax revenue of total sales. No other industry does that, not the mall, not the delis. This would be money that would come in, and it's not about that, but this is part of how we have to decide what we want to do. And that 2% on sales revenue could be earmarked as determined by the TC. GTI has requested a letter of zoning determination. They've been trying to get an answer, and we told them, now that we know, they have got to get a letter from the TC of approval which way you want to go. That it's a permitted use, parking requirements, all the things that go with zoning. And Devra said they would be happy to make a public presentation and to follow whatever guidelines are determined by the TC. And again, this is only for medical marijuana. The other thing is, on February 29th, Moms Demand Action and Brady Against Gun Violence will be organizing and hosting a conversation on gun violence prevention with Congressman Malinowski at the library, February 29th, 11 a.m. to 12:30. We will have Malinowski and our own police chief, Brian Gelfetter. There'll be 2 students from the high school about Students Demand Action, refreshments by Live Breads. So we will start advertising this on the township website and on other websites you'll find on Facebook. This is a really, really important conversation that Millburn should be having along with a lot of other communities. So there's a couple of flyers there, and I will forward this to downstairs to start putting out. And that's it.
Thank you.
And here, sorry, you could just add that. Oh, and this. Thank you.
Yes, Richard.
So it's been it has been a busy month, and I think there's there are certainly a lot of meetings going on, and I just want to piggyback some of Deputy Mayor Prupas's comments. We are both the liaisons to the Board of Ed, and we've been meeting regularly with the Board of Ed. I think there's a lot of good communication going on between the TC and the Board of Ed, and part of it is that we received at our last meeting, we received confirmation that the school board is going to maintain the middle school bridge. So it's going to be painted, it's going to be repointed, there's nothing structural they can do, but they're going to clean it up. I think it's a great thing. I want to commend them on doing this. I think it's been 10 to 15 years since the bridge has been cleaned or, maintained. I think that is also a main entryway to the township, so it's going to look better for people coming to Millburn, and I'm really happy about that. I also want to commend. I'm sorry all of our police are gone, because I actually wanted to commend them. They had an enforcement action in January 20th to 24th. Our department stopped 68 motorists and issued 35 moving violations to people that were speeding or running lights or whatever. And I want to commend the chief and the department on starting to move strongly against aggressive driving. I think this is something important. It's something that I really want to work on, and I really just want to urge our neighbors to slow down in town, and please slow down. And I think we all know, a lot of times we're going too fast. In addition to that, also want to echo Deputy Mayor Prupas's comments on the merchants meetings that we had. It was a really good meeting. It was open. People, it was a very open discussion. I think it was interesting to hear what the merchants were saying. As you can imagine, some of the comments, some of the preliminary comments were just concern over local business if and when the TC decides to take any action. Again, I like the PAC's recommendations, but I think it's still preliminary until our engineer is on board. But I do want to say that I heard the merchants, and I will definitely, I definitely want to be sensitive to any businesses that might be impacted in the future. And that's my report.
Thank you. Resolution 20-051 supports the celebration of the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. I'm very grateful that we are supporting this resolution in celebration of the anniversary of the 19th Amendment and a woman's right to vote. I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight the women's leadership in our own township committee, our town hall department heads, our superintendent of schools, and our BOE business administrator. We are well represented in the township. Whereas the year 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment of the United States Constitution, guaranteeing and protecting women's right to vote, and whereas this centennial offers an opportunity to commemorate a milestone of democracy, that the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the federal or state governments on account of gender. Whereas New Jersey has had a long storied history in the suffrage movement, with New Jersey women playing a crucial role in pursuing the rights of women to vote. Whereas in 1776, women property owners were enfranchised under the New Jersey State Constitution, which was unique in the nation at a time. However, in 1807, the New Jersey legislature eliminated the property requirement for voting rights and limited the ballot to white males. Whereas in 1867, New Jersey residents Lucy Stone and Harry Blackwell organized the New Jersey Women's Suffrage Association, devoted to gaining women's suffrage, and in 1909, New Jersey's first open-air suffrage rallies were held in Orange and Newark, led by Dr. Emma Gantz and Martha Klatchkin, with NJWSA collecting 5,000 signatures for a petition in support of the federal amendment guaranteeing and protecting women's constitutional right to vote. And whereas although the 1912 state referendum on women's suffrage was soundly defeated in New Jersey, the legislature, a corner was turned for the New Jersey suffrage movement. In 1913, an automobile rally led by General Rosalie Jones traveled through New Jersey on way to Washington, D.C. in a suffrage parade. Over 8,000 marchers and many New Jersey women, including the event organizer Alice Paul. And whereas in 1915, a second suffrage constitutional referendum was pursued in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts, with active campaigns by many suffrage organizations, including the passing of the Torch of Liberty by tugboats and on Hudson River from New York to New Jersey, but was defeated in all 4 states, October of 1915. In 1917, New Jersey suffragists Allison Trumbull Hopkins, Julia Hulbert, Beatrice Reynolds Kincaid, and Minnie Abbott picketed in front of the White House as part of the Silent Centennials, and subsequently were arrested and imprisoned. And on June 4th, 1919, Congress passed the 19th Amendment guaranteeing all women the right to vote. On February 9th, 1920, New Jersey became the 29th state to ratify the 19th Amendment, granting women's right to vote. Shortly after the ratification of the 19th Amendment, Margaret Laird and Jenny Van Ness were the 2 women elected to the New Jersey Assembly in 1921, and in 1925, Rebecca Estelle Bourgeois Winston of Estelle Manor was New Jersey's first woman mayor. Yay. Now, therefore, be it resolved, in honor of the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, the Township of Millburn will light the municipal building purple, one of the colors of the New Jersey suffrage movement, for the week of February 10th. Be it further resolved that the Township of Millburn supports the efforts of the New Jersey Suffrage Centennial New Jersey Women Vote and strongly encourages local celebrations of this historical milestone. A copy of this resolution will be forwarded to the Governor, Secretary of State, and New Jersey League of Municipalities. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 20-051?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Burstein?
Yes.
Ms. Prupus?
Yes.
Ms. Small Eglin?
Yes.
Mr. Wasserman?
Yes.
And Mayor Lieberberg.
Yes. County Representative George Serio, thank you.
Good evening. Just one announcement, really a reminder. 2020 is a census year. The county has received a grant from the state of New Jersey in order to help residents in our municipalities understand the value of the census and the importance of making the count accurate, especially in documenting those populations that are hard to count. So the county executive is making the grant available to all municipalities. The deadline is going to be February 14th at 12 noon. I sent a note out with the details. The proposal should include how you propose, what populations you're going to target, include a budget, and list any events that you're having to get the word out and to promote the census. If you need any more information, I can certainly provide it. We have a person that's going to be handling and coordinating all census activities out of the county executive's office. So you'll be seeing numerous events popping up throughout the year. That's my report.
Thank you very much.
Jackie, Alex estimate.
Pardon me?
Alex estimate.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so, real quick, I've been asked to report on several items and things that we are working on. So, first and foremost, the township of Millburn is undergoing a study to look at the police staffing levels in the township. There is no particular date that is going to get back to us, but we do expect that fairly soon, probably within the month of March. That we'll have an analysis of that, and that will be shared with the township committee at that time. Some of these items will also help answer questions on the consent agenda for the township committee and for the residents. In particular, there's a resolution on to award an RFP to IMS, which is Infrastructure Management System. That is a company that is going to assist the township by driving every single one of our lane miles for the local roads, establish a level of degradation of those roads, and help us better plan and make objective decisions on what roads are going to be maintained, how they should be maintained, what the budget will be for that maintenance. It's also going to take a look at curbing, gutters, sidewalks, and signage. It will provide a GIS layer for the township to use in its analysis of our assets. The township, if some of you may notice that there are no speed limit signs on Upper Millburn Avenue. What we are doing that's currently codified is 35 miles an hour. We're asking the county to take a look and establish that at 25 like the rest of Millburn Avenue. We've gone through some efforts, including a speed study that needs to be presented to the county. The county will eventually hear that and hopefully grant us permission to codify it as 25 miles an hour. At the last meeting, a resident got up to speak about the potential of a resident shopping permit. Just some clarification on that. This is something that we are preliminarily looking at, that we want to obviously see what that might look like for Millburn Township, if that would be a possibility, if it makes sense business-wise in respect to the parking utility. But we are undergoing that look, and I'd like to bring that through the parking ad hoc that is established with the township. Also on the consent agenda is an open space grant. The county is offering an open space grant in the amount of $150,000. The township will be applying for that grant to make necessary and repairs and aesthetic repairs to the bridges in Taylor Park. That will go a long way for that. If there is money remaining, we may look at irrigation of the ball field in the park as well, and potentially a backstop in the Taylor Park. But obviously the main priority and objective is to fix up the bridges. That's my report.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'd like to welcome Essex County District 4 freeholder Leonard Luciano is here to speak regarding the South Mountain Reservation and Turtleback Zoo enhancements. 10 minutes will be allotted for the presentation.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Mayor Lieberberg. I don't know if I necessarily need this, but I know with the sunshine laws, if you guys want to make sure that I'm on recording, I will hold it if you want.
I think it'll pick you up.
It'll pick me up? Okay, thank you, Administrator. So, again, let me thank first Deputy Mayor Tara Prupis, who reached out to me last week and invited me here to the meeting tonight. For the members of the public that are here, or those that might watch or listen to this down the road, I'm Len Luciano. Of course, to you, Mayor, thank you for putting me on the agenda. And once a mayor, always a mayor, so to Mayor Burstein and to Mayor Eglo, and to our two committee people, I really appreciate you inviting me here into your chambers. Len Luciano, District 4 Freeholder. I have served on the Freeholder Board since August 2011. This August, it will mark 9 years that I've been a county legislator. For those of you that don't know the different levels of government, of course, we have our school board. You have your local municipal government, which controls about a quarter out of every dollar of tax dollars. The school board controls about 50 cents out of every dollar, and the county is the other quarter of your tax pie. So as the legislators of the county, there are 9 of us. There are 5 districts broken up into a pizza, and each district represents about 175 to 200,000 people. My district, I'm a district freeholder, I'm not at large. There's also 4 at-large freeholders that represent the entire county, and we have about 875,000 to 900,000 people according to our last census. But my district, just to give you a snapshot of who I am, represents the 11 North and West Essex communities, starting down by West Orange and going north into Verona, Cedar Grove, the Caldwells, Essex Fells, Fairfield, Roseland, and then moving towards Livingston and Millburn Short Hills. So I actually have the largest geographic area. My constituent base is very diverse. Each community is different. I will say this, in the earlier years when I was a freeholder, I was in Millburn Short Hills quite often, as we did have some issues. As of the recent years, you haven't seen me, and I think that's a testament to good government and who we have here as leadership, because there hasn't really been any issues as of lately. But I'm here tonight to be how can I say this? To be as supportive to the town, to bring you the information that some of your residents have brought to your attention. I do want to give a shout out to Mr. Serio, who represents the county, who does bring back the concerns not only of the governing body, but of the residents of the town to the county executive, who is the administrator. He's like the mayor of the county, and to the freeholders. And I will give my, take my hat off to the county executive, Joe D. He makes sure that he has a county representative in every municipality for every municipal meeting, so we can stay abreast as to what's going on. I also want to congratulate those officers tonight that were promoted. I saw when I got here, there were, I believe, 4, was it? 4 officers. Millburn Short Hills is a community with a major state highway and a very, very large trafficked mall. And I can't say enough about public safety. One of the top 3 issues to my campaign platform when I first started running for office is that we care about public safety. You know, whether that's law enforcement, our roads, our bridges, pedestrian safety. If you don't have public safety, you don't have a community. So congratulations to those officers. And a couple of other notes. I was taking some mental notes here. I know Deputy Mayor mentioned a crosswalk that the county is going to take a look at taking care of. The reason we have postponed that project for a couple months is we're waiting for warmer weather. We usually don't mess around in anything in the roadway if it's not 55 to 60 degrees consistently. And even though I think we hit 60 today, that's not our traditional February weather. And again, the administrator brought up a couple of other things. One, I hope you do apply for the grant funding. I'm sure you'll be awarded. That would be a great addition to your town. And then the speed signs and the speed limit, please do present us with any traffic study you have. But believe it or not, sometimes those areas, while we do care about public safety, sometimes decreasing a speed limit, I just want everybody to know, isn't always the best avenue for certain communities, and sometimes if you speak to police departments, causes more of a liability for accidents and problems. I hope that's not the case here, because I am promoting a lower speed limit, but I'm sure if you meet with the county, they will be able to make that determination. Now moving along, because I know we're a little limited on time, I, being the District 4 freeholder, I'm one of 9, and for all the projects and for our budget, you know, all freeholders hold, I want to say, the county executive, you know, who sets the agenda to I want to say, the highest of standards. And one of the issue that I will take my hat off to the county executive is he is very much in favor of recreation and quality of life here in Essex County. If you drive around our county, I think it's arguable that we have one of the best county park systems in the state of New Jersey. We have a tremendous amount of recreational facilities, including what I'm about to talk about, and that's the Turtleback Zoo, and along with our county South Mountain Reservation. We have seen over the last 8.5, 9 years since I've been on the freeholder board quite significant increase in development, in attendance, and in revenue. And to me, these are all 3 great things, but you know, of course, I am not a sole person of my own belief. I believe in what I hear from others. I also learn things from others. You know, I'm an eternal student. So some of the things we may do may not be perfect, or they may not seem like they're perfect in planning phases or in, you know, in the beginning, you know, but you know, and I myself have questioned Joe D, our county executive, on certain things because I couldn't see the board as a chessboard. I saw it more as checkers, where it's just this move. But the county executive seems to have a knack for looking at things like chess, where you do one thing, and one thing then opens up the board for other things. This project over in the zoo right now is, well, it started off being considered an amphitheater, and now I think they're calling it a pavilion/amphitheater. But for the sake of tonight, I'm going to refer to it as an amphitheater. An amphitheater that can sit hundreds of folks, primarily built for students. A little bit about my background. I work in education for the State Department of Education for 12 years. I was a school teacher, and I spent many of those years taking my class and students on field trips to the Turtleback Zoo, right here. Not going over the river into the Bronx, to the Bronx Zoo, or having to go anywhere else, but right here. I was a school teacher in Newark, and our school frequented the Turtleback Zoo. Over that time period, the county executive built something that I thought was amazing, called an education center. And that education center was to take what we see in the zoo and sort of mix it into school curriculum. Talking about, you know, different animal species, talking about different things in the environment, where going to the zoo wasn't just a field trip for fun, to go see animals, ride on a pony, ride on a train, and eat an ice cream cone, but it also was to incorporate curriculum. And of course, being someone who is all about experience and travel, thankfully to my parents who were both public school teachers, I get that it is very important for students to learn outside of the classroom, in an environment, especially for some students, that may not have the opportunity in the world we live in to go to certain places or experience certain things, based on, you know, whether it's family commitments, work commitments, financial commitments that just have impeded them. So this project was something when Joe D came to the freeholder board and said, you know, I was looking to do a engineer/architectural study to see if this is something we could add to the zoo. Right away, out of the 9 freeholders, I was one that came out in support, and solely based on the fact that I believe that students need to learn, and they need to learn outside of the classroom. When I would take my students to the Turtleback Zoo, there would be 40 yellow buses, and I'm sure you've all seen them if you've driven by during the school day. And the educational center only had a limited amount of classrooms, and could only seat a limited amount of students. So when you arrived, you could put your name on a list, and You know, if you were at the top of the list, maybe you were able to get into the educational center. But if you weren't, you pretty much threw in the towel and you said, you know what, we're here, we're just gonna take the students, we're gonna walk around, we're gonna have a great experience, and we're gonna move on. When Joe D said, you know what, we might be able to seat 300 to 500 students, all in one learning outdoor classroom environment in an amphitheater, I said, wow, you know what, that's really great. I said, this is going to really open things up to children learning and having a great experience. So I came out and I was up front with the folks, and I see some of them who are here in the room, when I said that I support the project. But I wanted some more details. And so that's what I'm here to give you, the more details. You know, there were a lot of concerns that were raised by the public. There also were a lot of concerns that were raised by the West Orange Planning Board. Turtleback Zoo sits in West Orange, just for everybody's knowledge. So the county had to go in front of the planning board. And a couple of the concerns that we heard, we have taken under advisement and we've added. One of those concerns was water. And if you're going to build such an amphitheater, where is the water going to go? And so we at the county sat down with our engineer and we decided that we were going to add a 25-foot by 25-foot rain garden. So the water that is runoff that is going to come from the trees being taken down, and I'm going to get to the trees in a minute, is going to go into a 25 by 20-foot rain garden. And that rainwater is going to be recycled and used to water vegetation, and then whatever's left over in that rain garden is going to slowly filter into our Orange Reservoir, which is over on Cherry Lane. The county executive also had a great idea that he would take that rain garden and also incorporate that in part of the learning and the curriculum and instruction for those that come, for the students. So not only will they come to the amphitheater and they may hear about animals, you know, or wildlife species, but they can also hear about precipitation and what we do with the rainwater and how it can be recycled, because of course we're always trying to promote a greener environment. And that was something that the West Orange Planning Board wanted. The West Orange Planning Board also said, how many trees are you going to be taking down? Well, the footprint of the amphitheater / pavilion is 1.5 acres. So that would bring our zoo footprint up to about 30 acres. For those of you that don't know, our reservation is 2,047 acres. And if our zoo footprint at a total is 30, our zoo is about 1.5% of the entire reservation. And of that, this new amphitheater of 1.5 acres would probably require us to take down somewhere around 130 to 140 trees. So, in our plan originally, the county said, well, we're going to match that and we're going to plant 2 to 1 trees. The one we take down, we will add 2 more. And the planning board said that's not good enough. We want more. So the county executive, in collaboration with the freeholders, have decided that we are going to put 4 to 1. We are going to have close to 550 new trees for the 135 that we take down. Those trees will also soak up precipitation, but they will also add to the ambience and the environment, and it won't look like, hey, listen, we just changed this whole area and made it look like a parking lot. Another amendment I want to say that we did with this project as of lately was the planning board said, you have a black roof and that's not environmentally friendly, we want a white roof. So the county is going to spend the extra money to put in a white roof, which does not soak up as much heat, will also be a lot more cost effective over the long run, and more environmentally friendly. And so those right now are the major amendments that we've taken under advisement, and the West Orange Planning Board was happy to hear that. And pretty much at that, you know, where we are with the project is this. I can't really speak to how much, and this might be on your mind, how much this project is going to cost us at the county, because as it speaks right now, it is currently out to bid. So if I was to throw a number out there and someone was to pull the records here, you know, their bids might come around what I'm saying, so I'm not going to put that on record. But what I can put on record is that the county applied for $4 million grant, and the governor has agreed to pay that $4 million grant if we were to go forward with this project. So to me, that's $4 million in found money, because if Essex County didn't receive it, Passaic or Bergen or Union or one of our other neighboring counties would have definitely applied for it for some other use. And which, in my opinion, that $4 million should really cover, I want to say, most of this project. When we went out to bid for architectural and engineering, it was not to exceed $600,000. There's full disclosure, it's public record. That firm has not spent the entire $600,000, so they are under budget. But the reason why there's still money and funds there is because, like when you were to build a house, right, your original plans aren't always the plans you're going to follow. You know, you may tweak things here, you may go back. Like I said, we added now the rain garden. You know, we're going to add a white roof instead of a black roof, and other things that'll probably come up along the way. So we may spend that entire $600,000. And some folks have raised questions through email, maybe to you here at the committee meetings, as to the firm that we hired. Well, that's one thing we can't control. The way government works is we put things out to bid, and the most responsible bidder is usually awarded that bid. A lot of folks want us to do what we can to support in-county, and that is one thing. Listen, we always want to see folks in-county be awarded first. We always want to see folks that live in the county, you know, working for our outside vendors and being employed. But lawfully, we can't always require that. That's just not the way the system's set up. And we also can stand confidently that the firms that we hire at the county are always scored at a top-notch score by our purchasing agent. We don't take chances on folks that say, you know what, we can beat it by 100,000. Because sometimes when you cut corners, we all know, in the end, you're going to pay more for it. So I hope that that kind of dispels anything that's out there about vendors we've used so far in this project. And at that, I wanted to first, before I open it up to members of the public, I wanted to open it up to any member of the governing body, or to you, Administrator, if there's any questions that you may want to throw at me. And of course, if I don't have the answer for you, I will have to get back to you. I'm not an engineer, I'm not an architect, so anything like that, I may not have a technical answer for you, and I say that to the members of the public as well. I'm an educator, I've been a county legislator. Sure, I dot all my I's and cross all my T's, but answers I don't have, I will do my homework and I will get back to you. Turning it over to you, Mayor, and thank you.
I'd like to open it up to the committee. Does anybody have any questions?
So I have one question. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Sure.
So I did get an email with a bunch of questions, and I do live in South Mountain section, which has flooded.
Sure.
And one of the questions, and my house in particular has flooded. One of the questions here, I don't know where it is like how this will affect South Mountain section. And I don't understand, because obviously this is in West Orange, the top of the reservation. The mayor will be going to the Broadway River meeting, which we've been working for years to find resolution for the flooding. Does this project, will it have any effect on South Mountain section in Millburn?
Okay, so before...
Or even Millburn downtown?
Before I answer that question, I want to bring us back in time, maybe about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, when I first became a freeholder. Millburn was underwater. We had what they call a 100-year storm. And since that storm, we have seen other major storms. If you look globally, clearly something has been changing with our environment. We had earthquakes in Puerto Rico. We've had fires over in Australia. We've seen things in the last decade or two that nobody has seen before. So to answer your question honestly, I don't think anybody knows whether or not homes are going to flood going forward. We don't know what we're up against. I could tell you that it's not going to flood, and it could rain for days. We could see another Hurricane Sandy. And you know what? No matter what an engineer tells you or someone who knows water, all bets are off and things could be out the window. So I think it would be unfair for me to stand here and say, you know, based upon what we're doing, I'm certain you're never going to flood. And it just could be our luck, too, that we could build it, we could have one of those storms, and you flood and you connect the dots and think that one has to do with the other. But I will tell you this. that 1.5 acres that we are adding and putting in that rain garden, actually, if anything, should slow down the water going from that area into the reservoir, which then comes downstream towards Millburn. So my preliminary thinking is it could only help, not hurt. But I am not certain of that. And so I cannot go on record. But I will, again, do my due diligence to see if we can get more of an accurate answer. But I just hope that everyone could take that into consideration, what I said. I mean, Millburn had years and years and years where it was never underwater. I was a recent freeholder, and I came here and almost needed a boat to get through Millburn. Same thing with Fairfield. And that has to do with, again, things we've never seen before, and sort of like when one domino falls, all of a sudden other dominoes fall. So this is a serious, it's something serious we need to pay attention to. I know that we've talked about dredging, we've talked about getting the Army Corps of Engineers to help, channel the water in another direction. I don't know if any of those things ever came to fruition. That's, again, above my pay grade and above what I do as a county legislator. But of course, I support the mayor and the committee. Wherever you need me to be, with whatever level of government, I would support that, because we don't want to see that happen ever again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're talking about putting in about, what did you say, about 400 and
540 trees.
540 trees. So with respect to where the work is going to take place, how many trees around there? Where are the trees going? I mean, are they?
So our commitment is that the trees will, one, go around the facility and anywhere else into the reservation that borders the facility. So we're not just going to be adding the trees on top of what we're building, we're going to be spreading them out. Basically, our commitment is, we're worried about the environment, we want more trees, we want them everywhere. We're not just going to put them all in one spot. Of course, a prime example of how we've done that is if you ever go during peak season down to Branch Brook Park. The county exec has been very committed to these cherry trees. And we didn't just focus on where the cherry blossoms originally were in the park, we have spread them out all over the place. And that's really going to be our goal when we add these trees into the zoo/reservation area. We're going to have some landscape engineers come in and tell us, look, this tree can grow to this height, so it's going to need this much space. And of course, again, that's not something I'm an expert in, but I have to say that I'll have confidence in whoever we hire to come in and tell us the best location for these trees.
Tara, Richard?
Tara,
Richard?
can I go first?
Go ahead.
First of all, I want to
Oh,
thank
did you have another question? I'm sorry.
Yeah. We good?
Go ahead, yes.
Anyway, I want to really thank you for coming tonight. I know a lot of our residents that are here have concerns that, and I know that you'll answer their concerns, and I do want to thank you for coming. I think some of my concern that may mirror some of our residents' concern is that, I think that we have a limited amount of open space, and I think the people in Millburn, our neighbors here, we like having the open space. We like, jogging and being able to walk and use the reservation. So I think that when there's an effort to, even if it's an acre and a half or whatever it is, I think when there's an effort to develop, more of our reservation, I think a lot of our neighbors get a little nervous that there may be more development coming. I mean, could you reassure us to some extent that once this project is done, that the county is not planning on developing, more, can you assure us that what we have now, and it really is a beautiful thing to have so much free land and where we can hike and walk and bike, can you assure us that the county doesn't have future plans to develop more?
So I can take you as far as I know, and as far as I know, and the county executive has pretty much expressed himself to the freeholders, that this, remember, we just also put up a new parking deck. After that new parking deck and this, likely to be our last, what we consider a major project of the zoo. As far as some minor things, they may come along the way. I know we are developing a little bit of what they call an African safari. I don't know if you noticed, our zoo is actually themed. and we're following the African safari and what was in our zoo master plan and what we've seen in other zoos around the country. But I don't foresee anything in the near future of this magnitude or anything that's going to move outside of the footprint of now this 30 acres.
And you say that the money to do this project, a majority of it would come from the state,
Correct.
so that wouldn't affect our
Which
taxes.
is not part of taxpayer dollars, correct,
Okay.
under grant funding. But yeah, and I think I can also safely say too, that as your freeholder, and knock on wood, I'm still your freeholder, as we move forward, you have my commitment that I don't think, and I can go out there confidently and say that I have voted no on several of the things that the county exec has tried to develop. I was in the losing votes, but I voted no on development in the hilltop over in Cedar Grove. I voted no on our sea lion exhibit at the zoo, and so on and so forth. I have not, and I just want to dispel some of the rumors that are out there because I see the emails, and I've heard the comments, that I'm always in line with the county exec and I do, his work on the freeholder board. Sure, when I feel it's the right thing, for the residents or for children or for students or for our communities, of course I vote yes. And it's easy when, and I always tell people, we can agree to disagree and I'll hear you and you can hear me. But no way am I going to accept personal attacks where people think that I do the work of some other person. I am my own individual, and I have that respect for my other colleagues, and I just want you guys to know that, and that's why I can give you my commitment that if there are any more major projects that I think could be, 1, harmful to the environment, 2, harmful to Millburn, or 3, not cost affordable or effective, my vote's a no. I have no problem voting no. I've done it before, and I can confidently say that I could do it again. But this project, I can confidently say I'm voting yes. I cannot speak for my other freeholders, but from the vote tally of the engineer and architectural study, it was a 9-0 yes.
Any,
Or I'm sorry, there was one extension. Excuse me.
Are there any other comments from the township committee members? Okay, we're going to open this up to the public. Please remember this is a business meeting and professional etiquette must be observed. Kindly keep your remarks to a minimum and do not repeat what has been said.
Judy Rosenthal, 97 Main Street, Millburn, New Jersey. As a freeholder, you recognize that the county has to comply with the law, correct?
I would agree with that.
And those laws include environmental impacts. Those laws include executive orders, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of Executive Order number 215 passed in 1989?
I am not. You can enlighten me.
Okay. You just said earlier that the amphitheater was a major project. Those were your exact words, right?
I would say anything that falls under a project labor agreement and is in the millions of dollars is a major project, correct?
Executive Order 215, and I'm quoting, requires departments, agencies, and authorities of the state to prepare and submit to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection an environmental assessment or environmental impact statement in support of major construction projects. The whereas clauses of this lay out the reasons. Whereas the protection of the environment, which is the subject of a public trust administered by government for the benefit of all citizens, is a primary responsibility of state government. And I'm going to skip over some of these whereas clauses. Whereas the potentially adverse environmental impact of projects initiated or funded by departments, agencies, or authorities of state government can be substantially reduced or eliminated if that impact is assessed before the approval of such project and agreement reached on the ways and means to ensure environmental compatibility. And then it goes on to set forth the requirements. Now, no environmental impact statement was ever prepared in connection with construction of the amphitheater, right?
Before you go any further,
It's a yes or no.
you're talking, what you have presented to me, you said, is for the state, correct?
You.
In the state or project by the state?
This deals with departments, agencies, or authorities of the state. The county, as a matter of law, is a department of the state.
Right.
So this applies to the county. So no environmental impact statement has been done, right?
We haven't built the project yet.
You have to do it before the project. If you look at all the requirements, you have to do the EIS before you do the project. What good is an EIS after it's done?
I understand, but I believe that we will do our due diligence before we build the project.
You have-
There has not been one shovel in the ground, ma'am, and I can definitely take what, and if you wanna give me a copy of that with me
I'm gonna
as your
hand it to the
legislator,
township clerk,
sure.
and you can look it up online.
Okay, and I will, but again, the cart before the horse here, there hasn't been one shovel put in the ground. And if the state is giving us $4 million, I'm sure they're not going to give it to somebody who's in violation of state,
That would be the county,
right?
right, for not doing an EIS. All right, you mentioned taxes, and Mr. Wasserman said, oh, this isn't gonna impact our taxes. $4 million from the state affects my taxes. Where do you think that money comes from?
I understand, that is taxpayer dollars.
Isn't this a little bit like shopping with coupons? You get a coupon for Fritos. You know Fritos aren't good for you, but I'm getting 50 cents off. I'm going to buy the Fritos. Well, this is exactly what the amphitheater project is. Hey, I'm getting $4 million from the state. I know this isn't good for the environment, but hey, I'm getting $4 million off the cost of this
I never said that it
project.
wasn't good for the environment. That's what you said, and I can respect your opinion on that.
Okay. The amphitheater holds 500 kids, right?
Roughly.
And in order to get those kids to the reservation, you need buses, right?
That's correct.
French and Perillo is an environmental firm, right? An environmental engineering firm.
Correct.
And they failed to study the carbon load created by having to bus 500 children to the reservation every single day, did they? They didn't do it.
How can I answer that for you?
Honestly,
That's a question I cannot answer, but I can get back to you. and
I can tell you they
appreciate it
didn't. They didn't. Okay? So you can't really stand here and say that it's not good for the environment because you have no EIS and you have, I'm not done. You're cutting me off. You have no EIS.
Wait.
Well, he's interrupting me.
No. This is a business meeting, and
Okay.
please,
Right.
let's
Right.
let's
Let's get to all your points, and I will respond to
Right,
you.
no EIS and no assessment of carbon load
Right.
in connection with busing 500 kids a day to the amphitheater.
And what I want to say with that is, building this amphitheater is not to increase the students or the folks that are coming to our zoo. It's to enhance the zoo and the folks that we are already seeing there on a regular basis. We may already be getting those 500 students a day. We are not saying that this is something that we're going to be putting on a billboard saying, now we need 500 students to fill it. We're using the students that are already coming, ma'am. So the buses that are there and whatever diesel fuel they use, or we hope, our state's trying to go green, they're already coming, whether we build this or not. This is to enhance what we already have there, and the families and the students and the children we already have there.
Let's talk about what you already have there. There's already an amphitheater in the zoo, right?
One that fits about 50
Yeah.
people.
Okay, and are you aware of studies, as testified to by various members of the public that attended the January 21st, 2020 open forum, that kids learn best in groups of 40 to 50?
Oh, I can agree with that.
Yes, right, you would never
I could
do a
I could
field
agree
trip
that
with five.
Smaller class sizes are always going to be better for education. However, I will take the larger class size over no class at all,
But you,
every day of the week.
but
Okay.
don't you
If I
already
could
I
just-
have.
don't want this to become a dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I-
what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you speak. I'm sorry, Mayor, I don't want to take over your meeting either. Give me the rest of your points, please, in the next couple of minutes. I want to open up the floor to anyone else that may want to speak. And I will listen, and what I will do, and I even have one of my legislative assistants here, we are going to be paying attention and we will get back to you either in email, writing, or I will get back to the mayor.
Okay. Are you aware that the 135 or so trees already have green dots on them, slating them for removal, when you don't even have the bid proposals in yet? In other words, this is being treated as a fait accompli by the county?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Okay.
Okay, next, anybody else thank you, Judy. Would anybody else like to speak?
Can I give this executive order to your
Yes.
clerk, so it's part of the record?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Virginia Lamb Falconer. I live in Maplewood next door. And I'm here because I'm very concerned about the plan development for the reservation. And it seems, despite what some of the comments were, that it really is endlessly developing and excessively developing. And even though Frioldo Luciano, he had a couple of, and I'm just going to finish my list, and then if whatever you want to say, you can.
No, go ahead.
But one of the comments was that the amphitheater is not to increase the number of people coming in, but in the draft master plan that the county issued, like 2 months ago, I believe, they specifically say that they plan 33% increase in attendance. They have 1,200 parking spaces. They're calling for 2,100 parking spaces. They're talking about rerouting the train tracks. They're talking about building another cafe on the southern end. There's a lot of development planned for this zoo, according to their own master plan draft. And there's really no stated end in sight. And they say this is a county park and we can do what we want with it. We don't have to have a limit. And they say that, what else? Students need to learn outside a classroom, but basically what's happening is that they're leaving their classroom, riding on a bus, coming to another classroom, sitting down in chairs, and be, passively lectured at. It's a classroom without walls, but it's still a classroom. We talked about the 500 students. There's a claim that the zoo was 20 acres and now it's 30 acres, but the zoo was really originally like 14 acres, and now it's, when you count all the parking lots and everything, like on Cherry Lane, there's all that parking. It's not a paved parking lot. That's more like, I don't know, 40 acres or something. And that's a 100% increase in the footprint of the zoo. And the restaurant, and the mini golf, and the ropes course, and everything else. And it's all commercial stuff, and it all costs money for people to go to. And the woods doesn't cost anything for people to go to. So I want to point that out. So there's a bit of fuzzy accounting going on there. As far as the tree ratio goes, when they upped it from 2 to 1 to 4 to 1, when you're taking out mature trees, the ecosystem services and the capacity of a mature tree to store carbon, in your climate change, greenhouse gas mitigation, very significant. A forest like ours can hold 180 tons of carbon per acre, so that's significant. So it'd be more like a 30 to 1 tree replacement that would be required to make up for those trees in terms of just carbon storage and water storage. I think a lot of the issues are being oversimplified. The project is currently out to bid. I believe a bid is due in like a month, and the governor has approved the $4 million, and that the other $4 million is, like you said, a gift.